And I would like to introduce one of our new members, Ron Bari, and he's going to introduce our visiting Rotarians and guests. Ron.
Hi, good afternoon. I'd like to introduce our visiting Rotarians this afternoon. I'm Matt Lawson from Comox and Arthur from Corby.
I'd like to invite Steve Wallace to introduce our speaker for today.
Thank you, President Alley. Today we are very happy to welcome Bruce Carter, the CEO of the Chamber, the Victoria Chamber of Commerce. Bruce has owned a tech company in his past life, and he's been a 15-year naval officer. He's very outspoken. He's among friends, whether it's the business of education, or the business of government.
My name is Bruce Carter. I'm the CEO of the Chamber, and it's my pleasure to be here to talk to you about a whole pile of things that I'm incredibly passionate about. Our Chamber's ultimate job is to promote the economic vibrancy of our region, and I want to tell you, that's going well. We are in a good place as we go, and I think one of the things I want to talk about to start this off is just sort of where we are and some facts about our economy and some things that we need to do. Sometimes we have a tendency to complain about things that perhaps if we lived in other places like Afghanistan or Syria wouldn't be on the list. Whether or not parking was a problem, or perhaps getting food, water, and not being shot would be more important. You know what? Province-wide, our real GDP has grown by about 2.4% in 2014. We're expecting somewhere around a 2.9% growth in 2015, even with what's happening in the energy sector. Our unemployment rate in Victoria has hovered around 5%, or just less than 5% for most of 2014, which is incredibly healthy. What that means is, if you want a job, you can get one, right? 5% is full unemployment, or full employment. Our diversified economy has really fared quite well in 2014, and it's actually even going to do better in 2015. We expect to see strong growth in a lot of areas. That tourism sector is out there and it's making money and creating jobs and investing in hotels and investing in our community. We've seen steady increase in both BC Ferries and airport numbers since 2013, and that's continuing. And we've got Blackball Ferry, brings $120 million worth of business to our year annually. We've got the Victoria Clipper bringing another $60 million a year. We are a vibrant tourism economy, and we're going to see lots of growth in there. Technology. Technology sector is booming in Victoria. It's got about $4 billion annually in economic impact. Viatech has moved downtown and is trying to create a vibrant economic and high-tech hub in the core. They're going to do that. They're great at it. UVac has gained the name of the top Canadian comprehensive university in Maclean's magazine. And it saw its largest incoming class in September of last year with 21,255 students. There are more students at UVic than there are in many of our municipalities. UVic is our only educational institution. Camosun College, 2 campuses, serves our region providing 160 programs, from training accountants to welders. Just an amazing diversity. Camosun has over 18,000 students enrolled. Once again, bigger than many of the region's municipalities. So now we have 2 universities that are bigger than municipalities, probably, I hope, with less governance. Interesting thing about UVic versus Camosun. UVic, about 17% of the students are local. Camosun, 93% of the students are local. Right? So, big difference in the universities. UVic is a destination university. Camosun really supports our local economy in providing all of those things that we need. So, big difference between them. Manufacturing. You know, if any of you are from Ontario, don't hold up your hands because I don't want you to get a bun thrown at you or anything. You know, it's a bigger deal there and certainly much more visible, but we have a lot of manufacturing in Victoria. Now, we've got about 125 manufacturers in our region that call it home. They've got about $650 million in sales annually, so it's a big number. They sell things anywhere from fishing reels to boots, control systems, seaplanes, the Twin Otter, rigid hull rowboats, sporting equipment, surfboards, port facilities such as loaders and grain storage devices, and plankton. Who would have thought we manufactured and shipped out plankton? But we did. Marine and ocean sciences. This goes from shipbuilding to ship repair to leading scientists to underwater laboratories. C-SPAN is going to build 17 non-combat vessels. We're expecting to see the first steel cut this fall in that. And that's going to be 20 to 30 years worth of work to be done. We're hoping that that contract to build those 17 non-combat vessels would lead to more commercial business. I'm proud to say that the C-SPAN has landed the contract to refit 2 New Zealand Navy frigates when they're done our frigates. You know, we have the world's largest underwater laboratory. The world's largest. We don't see it. Wish we would hear more about it. It has 850 kilometers of cabled undersea laboratory off our coast. It is the best on the planet. And the best thing is they're starting to commercialize that technology. They've got a Smart Oceans program, and they're starting to do baseline monitoring of environmental conditions that are key if we're going to try and continue to do resource extraction on coastal areas. And as a chamber, as we continue to build our economy and do those things, we look at the areas where we think we need to do some work. And we came up with some priority areas, our priority areas for 2015. I sometimes worry when I look at this list of priority areas that if I was giving the speech in 1922, it might have looked the same. So the top of that list is amalgamation. You know, we have 13 municipalities, 5 police departments, 27 fire departments, and more municipal politicians that are in the legislature. We need to look at the sewage treatment debacle to find out, you know, if we've got $1 billion that we wanted to spend and we can't even spend it. We can't figure out how to spend it. We can't even figure it out if we want to. And we call that regional governance. I would probably call that regional gridlock. Transportation is an interesting priority. Our biggest challenge with transportation probably relates to what's going on before, is that no one's responsible for it. We have 13 different transportation authorities. We have bike lanes that end in certain areas. We have commuter roads that have traffic calming at one end. It doesn't make any sense at all. We need to look at moving both goods, services, and people around our region efficiently. We need to have a plan to do that from a regional perspective. Doing that individually on a municipality by municipality basis makes no sense. Doesn't work. Attracting talent to our region to meet our labor needs, is that economy that I talked about earlier, should be easy. Right? Everybody nod. Just nod. Help me out. I'm just trying to make sure you're like, yeah. Except for that whole housing thing. Right? You know, we're challenged by the cost of housing. We've got developers saying, you know, the cost of developing. And this is the conservative developers, probably the ones that don't tell you all the truth, but you know, 1/3 of the cost is the land, 1/3 of the cost is the construction, and 1/3 of the cost of developing property is regulatory compliance. What it costs me to get through City Hall. Right? You want to talk about affordable housing in municipalities? Look at your own processes and get some rationalization in there. And thank you very much for your time and your patience.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. We have another polio event happening. If you recall, I was promoting it a few months back in October when it was Polio Day, and a group of us were involved in a polio light-up, and we went to Dom Mees for dinner. So, there's a bigger one happening, February 23rd, 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock at the Empress. And the dining room there is called the Palm Court.
Don't forget the meeting for the car raffle. This is just a first meeting to try and get organized. We have to set up a real committee with regular meetings and set up how we're going to coordinate with the other clubs. Thanks.
There have been some amazing travesties, not just restricted to this meeting, but the last meeting, the Robbie Burns meeting, where Jim had several cutting remarks. Now, Jim isn't here today. So, Terry, you were responsible for that entire debacle. Ernie, while you're there, George, Ernie did something that many of you didn't notice. He came in late. He gets the Dan Parker Award for today. But he didn't just come in late, he slithered. And then he turned sideways, being rather light framed, hoping that no one would see him. And then he went and sat at the back of the room, Ernie. If you do not have your name tag or your pin, please look around the table. then you must pay a fine.